Have you ever seen a man in uniform, gun strapped to his hip, badge shining bright, and just known deep in your gut, even before he says a word, that trouble's coming? That's exactly what I saw that scorching day when Officer Cole Merritt blocked off an entire city street. He claimed it was routine protocol, but this wasn't about traffic violations or suspicious cargo. No, it was about a black woman in a sharp black business suit, driving a government SUV, just doing her job, heading to work. "What's with the lawyer cosplay, sweetheart?" he sneered, mocking her like it was some joke. But his eyes told a darker story, cold and unyielding, the kind of look that snaps like a twig under pressure. And then, right there on the sidewalk, he pulled the trigger. She fell hard, unarmed, hands empty, blood spreading across her sleeve, collapsing onto the concrete. None of us grasped in that electric instant that he had just shot a federal prosecutor. Not just any prosecutor, but Jordan Hale, the woman who'd indicted 3 governors, 2 police chiefs, whose very name silenced the chatter in City Hall whenever she entered a room. Her blood was still fresh on the pavement when someone's phone started recording, and that video spread through the city like wildfire through dry brush. Let me take a step back, because you need to understand. This wasn't a shootout. Not a car chase. Not even a traffic stop gone wrong. Jordan was driving a black government SUV with tinted windows, stopped at a red light like anyone else. She didn't speed away or flinch when the officer signaled her to pull over. When Cole flagged her down, her engine clicked off smoothly. That quiet sound only new cars make. She stayed still and silent, not moving a muscle until Cole started, shouting. You know that voice. A man used to being obeyed, sharp and commanding, hand hovering near his gun, already spinning a story that would serve him before anyone else could speak. The door opened slowly. No music blaring, no angry words, no chaos. Every movement she made was deliberate, almost like a dance, counting the tiles beneath her feet. She wore large sunglasses, her shirt buttoned all the way up, revealing no skin except for her steady hands. No shaking, no nervous twitch, just one arm extended holding out her badge. A clean federal ID presented without a word. She didn't try to explain, didn't smile or beg. She simply held it there. But Cole didn't check it, didn't call for backup, didn't even run the number. He glanced once, then tossed it on the ground, where it landed in a puddle by the curb. That's when he started shouting again, louder, angrier, claiming that a black woman in a federal vehicle must be stolen. His voice boomed like a warning, like he wanted every person within earshot to believe it. Slowly, a crowd gathered. A woman with a stroller stopped walking. A kid pulled out their phone and began filming. Jordan bent down, picked her badge back up, wiped the dirt and water off it, and stood firm. No tears, no fear. In a voice low and steady, she said, I am unarmed, not a challenge. Just the simple truth. All I have is breath. The wind stirred lightly, enough to lift the hem of her shirt, but not enough to hide what happened next. Cole's gun came up, his arms steady and rigid. No warning, no countdown. One shot snapped through the air so fast it barely sounded real. She dropped to her knees, blood soaking the black fabric of her suit, her badge slipping from her hand again. Nearby, a child screamed in the back seat of a car. The woman with the stroller cried out, "You shot her!" But Cole just stood there, gun raised, his face stone cold. No panic. If anything, he looked bored. The video kept rolling. Witnesses saw everything. A black woman holding her federal badge, shot in broad daylight, not running, not resisting, falling. Her sunglasses caught the sunlight for one brief flash, then disappeared as she fell silent. She didn't scream or plead. She just tried to breathe, bracing herself against the SUV for support. Here's the twist nobody expected. The phone never stopped recording, and Cole never realized who he'd shot. She wasn't a criminal or lost in the city. She was the DOJ's own, the woman whose signature could bring down a mayor's career. Within an hour, her name leaked. By sundown, the video had 2 million views, and the entire country was demanding answers. How could a cop shoot a black woman holding a federal ID, then walk away like it was just another day? At the hospital, Jordan said nothing. Doctors cut away her shirt, finding no weapon, only the bent badge pressed against her skin, blood soaking its face. She whispered, "I'm a federal prosecutor." Not as a plea, but as a warning. Suddenly, the emergency room grew tense. Every officer there broke into a sweat. A security guard checked her name on his phone and saw the headlines. Jordan Hale, face of the DOJ's Anti-Corruption Task Force, a woman who had made powerful enemies across 3 states. You should have seen his face, lips trembling as the weight of that truth sank in. Meanwhile, outside, Cole was giving his statements to the press, arms crossed and dripping with arrogance. I handled it by the book, he said, as if it were just another routine paperwork case. But the video kept spreading. Every share a punch in the gut to law enforcement's credibility. Every comment a call for justice. The anger wasn't just aimed at Cole. It was aimed at a system that lets a badge become a weapon of injustice. And while Jordan fought to breathe, the system scrambled to spin a story painting her as the problem. But you know how unraveling goes. Pull one thread, and soon the whole sweater comes apart. It turned out Cole had a hidden past. 7 prior complaints, all buried, all signed off by the same sergeant. Dana Wickley, head of behavioral review. They had covered for him again and again, but this time the truth was coming out. They filed each other's paperwork, covered each other's tracks, and built a wall of silence around every complaint. 6 dismissed outright, 1 left conveniently unverified, all buried like they'd never existed. It wasn't sloppy oversight. It was a pattern. A protection racket in uniform, and just when the story seemed sealed tight, someone no one expected cracked it wide open. Morris, the homeless man most people didn't see anymore, stepped forward. The man with the cracked phone and the sharp memory. Been there, under a rusted awning, and he'd recorded everything. His footage, raw and unedited, showed what the official reports tried to hide. He brought the USB to the local newsroom, and when they played the clip, jaws dropped. No filters, no cuts, just Cole, clear as day, muttering, "Black on the street is guilty," seconds before he fired. That sentence, captured on tape, sealed his fate. Investigations ignited like dry leaves. Dana Wickley, the oversight sergeant who'd signed off on every one of Cole's buried infractions, got pulled in next. Turns out she hadn't just looked the other way. She deleted evidence, bullied rookies into rewriting reports, and turned the Behavioral Review Board into a machine that manufactured plausible deniability. Her arrest didn't come with sirens, just silence, but her final words to the press, "This world doesn't run on justice, it runs on who covers for whom," echoed like a confession and went viral for all the wrong reasons. And through it all, Jordan said nothing. No TV appearances, no hashtags, no protests. She didn't pose for magazine covers or become anyone's political symbol. She let her silence speak. Let her survival testify louder than any campaign ever could. When she finally did post something, it was just one line. "I don't need to scream." No slogans, no call to burn anything down, just the truth. Cold, measured, devastating. That post did what entire protests sometimes fail to do. It made the country stop and look inward. Law students debated it in lecture halls. Journalists re-examined every archive. Even her old enemies at City Hall fell quiet. If someone like Jordan Hale could be shot in broad daylight while holding federal credentials, what hope did anyone else have? Lawsuits followed, not just against Cole, but against the entire infrastructure that allowed him to exist unchecked. Supervisors, training officers, policy writers, no one stayed in the shadows anymore. Cole unraveled completely, lost his attorney, lost his allies, and finally lost the hollow arrogance he'd worn like armor. In court, the room overflowed. Not with his supporters, but with people who came to say what he'd really done. Not just to one woman, but to a city, a community, a nation's sense of law. The jury didn't need long. Guilty. First-degree murder, racially motivated, life, no parole. When the sentence dropped, the courtroom went still. Then Jordan stood, her neck still wrapped in bandages, voice clear. "Thank you for not killing me," she said. "Because now you can't erase what you did." No fury, no grandstanding, just the calm, piercing clarity of someone who had been forced to carry the truth. And the impact didn't end there. Dana was indicted. The police academy that had trained Cole was shut down. Graduation ceremonies were canceled. Some cadets ripped up their diplomas in protest. Nobody wanted plaques. Nobody wanted statues. Jordan turned down every medal offered to her. "A medal doesn't protect against the next bullet," she wrote. "It only hides the ones we haven't fired yet. So now, ask yourself, what does justice even look like?" Is it a woman surviving a bullet to speak the truth? Is it a broken system finally being dragged, kicking and screaming into the light? Or is it the hope that next time, no one has to be shot just to be believed? That's where I'll leave it. Comment below. What would you have done on that street? Do you think the verdict was enough? Was justice really served? Or is there still more all of us have to answer for? Because silence, our silence, is what let this happen. And silence is the only thing that can stop it.